Hi, everyone. Good morning. Rick Garcia with G12 Communications. Welcome to our video case study. So today I've got the pleasure of introducing you to Katie Kaiser with Childcare Resources. Good morning, Katie.
Good morning.
And Carmen I with Tri-Tec Communications. Hey, Carmen.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Stephanie Raymond with G12 Communications. Hello, Stephanie.
Hello.
So this is meant to be a visual case study to show you what CCR required from a telecommunications perspective and how the solution came together and the parties responsible for bringing it together. So, Katie, again, good morning. Thanks so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. Could you give us a little background on Childcare Resources?
Of course. Childcare Resources is a nonprofit organization that works with families, childcare providers, community organizations to improve access to high quality early learning options in our region. We operate the Childcare Aware of Washington Family Call Center, which supports families from across the state in their search for licensed childcare. And as I'm sure you can imagine, this service has become particularly critical as schools and childcare providers have closed in response to the COVID crisis.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You guys play an important role in the community, so thank you. I do understand. I mean, so basically, you've got people going to work, first responders as an example, but they're left with no school, or schools are not open, and childcare is sparse. So you guys step in and really help those parents, those working parents. So very good. Well, okay, so understanding your company now or your nonprofit and understanding how you operate, what does a telecommunications scenario look like or solution look like today, or what did it look like before?
Mm-hmm. Well, so at the end of February, our call center was using a system that required us to be almost entirely landed at our physical offices. And we were actively planning to replace the system in the coming fiscal year. When it became clear that in response to the COVID crisis, we would have to shift our operations entirely remotely, we really had to scramble to adapt. We only had 4 phones that could operate off-site, and the software that we were using could only be accessed if we were connected to one of our physical servers. So we were flying blind with no visibility into call volume or calls waiting, and we could only have 4 of our staff people on the line at any given time. And so at one point, we had a staff person who had a phone get sick, and so I put her phone in an Uber from Shoreline and drove it to Lakewood so that we could have another staff person take her phone. So we were, and all the while, our call volume was increasing significantly because the governor had just closed schools and the state of Washington had asked us to take over a centralized response to all things childcare during the COVID crisis. So we really needed help, and our development director started reaching out to telecommunications solutions around the area, and that's when we met Carmen.
Yeah, so it's Friday afternoon, Friday the 13th, and I get an email from Hillary who says we need to spin up a 100+ person remote call center ASAP. And knowing how fast the COVID situation was evolving, I knew ASAP really meant ASAP. So I offered to meet with their representatives over the weekend, and Katie and I met at Tri-Tec's Demo Center on Sunday morning. And she had a very good vision of what she wanted the system to look like and the feature set and how calls were going to flow through it, what kind of metrics they needed out of it, what kind of features they needed. So we got that all mapped out. And as you know, Rick, I represent a variety of different providers. And, so I had to quickly make a decision on, what I thought would be the best fit. And that really boiled down to who had the ability to execute. And in my opinion, G12's ability to execute accurately and quickly is second to none in the industry. So I had the opportunity to show Katie some phones and the software and the solution. We were able to get you on the telephone, and you talked about pricing models, timelines, how things needed to progress on what type of timeline. And that gave Katie enough information to put together a presentation for her leadership team on Monday morning about here's what a possible solution could look like. And then on Monday, you and I did a couple of web demos and web discussions with different leadership people and different stakeholders. And I think they signed contracts late Monday afternoon.
Thank you. So you get with Katie on Sunday. You get some requirements from Katie, what she's experiencing now from a telecommunications perspective, and what the goal was essentially, and that was. It was to have remote people at the time. Were you clear on? Did that come across that everyone was going to be remote, and that's what we needed to address?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. I know we did get in touch with each other on Monday and walk through some additional questions for some other stakeholders and walk through the details about G12. And then that Monday, I believe we execute contracts to get going. So. We get contracts in place. G12 Communications is going to be the provider, and we then engage from a deployment perspective Monday or Tuesday, somewhere around there. I'm going to turn this over to Stephanie now. Stephanie was assigned the CCR account from a provisioning perspective, and I'll let her take it from there. Stephanie, how did it go? This is rolling out pretty quickly. From Sunday to Monday, contracts are signed and we're off and running. This lands in your lap. How do you take this, Stephanie?
So first, let me say that as a working parent who has to rely on childcare, I was extremely happy to be assigned this account because I understand what Childcare Resources does and appreciate the amazing support that you provide for the parents in Washington State. Our standard procedure for any customer is to schedule a kickoff call to discuss needs, get a really great vision of the phone system that each customer is going to be needing. We gather the information about the users, the phone numbers, devices, call flows, the auto attendant scripts, and any other customizations needed to quickly build out a system based on those needs and that vision for each customer. We order phones, have them shipped, we test the system for functionality purposes, and then we provide training on the basic operation after everything is in place. In this case, after listening and working with Katie and her team throughout the initial call, I decided it might be more beneficial to not only work one-on-one with me directly and have Katie work with me directly to ensure the successful migration, but also to have a really good hands-on working knowledge of the system as it was put in place. So I scheduled a screen share with Katie and walked her through the auto attendant script that she had on hand while I was building in real time. By the end of that hour, we were able to get a functional system in place for the quick turn-up that they needed. All that was required at that point from their standpoint was a few final customization touches, such as recordings and some minor tweaks for the system to be live and in production.
Okay, awesome. So let's talk about what the solution is. So at G12 Communications, we provide SIP trunking, text messaging, and we'll talk about that. I think there's a portion of text messaging in there, and our cloud PBX solution. So this is our cloud PBX solution where remote workers were being addressed. Now, Katie, you opted for hard phones in the field. Is that right?
Okay. Correct.
Got it. So we shipped hard phones to you at a single location, and they were distributed to the field?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So let's talk timeline then. So timeline from the start of this requirement to kind of get rolling with a 100-person call center. Carmen, you said Friday afternoon you received an email with the need there, and then Katie and you engaged on a Sunday. Let's give the folks what that timeline looked like.
Well, so we reached out to Carmen on Friday the 13th, an auspicious day, met with her on Sunday the 15th, and we had a fully operational live call center by the 25th of March, 10 days later.
10 days later. That's fantastic. We really do appreciate our partners in Tri-Tec Communications and Stephanie from our provisioning department, and then Katie. We appreciate the opportunity to serve CCR. We do realize what an important role you play in the community, And certainly, thank you very much for taking the time out to spend some time and record a video with us. So we certainly appreciate that. So I do want to wrap this up and say thank you very much. Like I said, we do appreciate serving CCR, and thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
And again, just while I have you all on the line, we are so unbelievably appreciative, especially Carmen and Stephanie, like your responsiveness to us. I mean, this has been such a load off, knowing that we're not leaving families waiting for 30 minutes on the line, and that they can get through quickly, and that we're serving mostly essential employees. So these are folks who desperately need childcare because they have to report to work, and their schedules are changing, and and so we have the tools that we need to be able to respond to them and support them with their needs. So, and that's thanks to you all. So we really, really, really appreciate it.